My ex-husband copies every single meal I order at restaurants, so I let him copy something that destroyed his digestive system forever. Ever since our divorce 2 years ago, my ex-husband Robbie turned eating into psychological warfare whenever we ended up at the same restaurant. He'd wait until I order, then tell the server he wanted exactly what I was having, but slip him $20 to make his plate look better than mine, like he was winning some competition I never entered. The first time at a steakhouse downtown, he held up his identical ribeye and announced to his date that his special medium rare was clearly the superior choice for sophisticated palates. It started with him showing up at my favorite brunch spot every Sunday, ordering my exact omelet while sitting 2 tables away, making loud comments about how eggs represent new beginnings. Then it escalated to him appearing at my birthday dinner with my sister, ordering my exact seafood pasta, and telling our mutual friends that he invented that specific modification with extra capers back when we were married. It took me a while to realize that I never stopped sharing my phone location with him, so he'd just show up unannounced at any random public place I happened to be eating at. He crashed my promotion celebration at a sushi place, ordered my exact tarashi bowl, and gave a toast about how proud he was that I'd finally reached the level he always knew I could achieve with proper motivation. But the moment that broke me happened at my father's wake when Robbie ordered the exact comfort food plate I'd gotten and told my grieving mother, "Grief makes everything taste better because it reminds you you're alive." My aunt literally gasped when he said it, and my mother just stared at him while holding her untouched sandwich like she couldn't process what she'd just heard. He needed to be put in his place, and I needed the perfect stupid plan. A few weeks ago, I was having dinner at a new upscale gastropub when Robbie walked in with a woman who looked young enough to be his graduate student and her parents who were dressed like they'd expected a country club. He whispered something to the hostess while sliding her a 50 and got seated directly in my line of sight despite the restaurant being mostly empty. When the server came to my table, I watched Robbie lean forward to hear what I was ordering. I looked up at the challenge menu on the wall advertising the Reaper's Last Meal, the Carolina Reaper Wing Challenge I'd been secretly training for ever since discovering this place 3 months ago, right after he'd ruined my father's wake. I knew from our marriage that Robbie had zero spice tolerance, but his ego would never let him back down from a challenge, and I'd been building my spice tolerance with ghost peppers and pure capsaicin drops specifically for this moment. I told the server in my sweetest voice that I'd been preparing for the Reaper's Last Meal for months and handed over my credit card for the deposit, while Robbie's eyes got wider than I'd ever seen them during our entire marriage. Robbie immediately flagged down our server and announced he wanted the exact same challenge, but demanded they bring extra sauce on the side because he'd been eating spicy food since before I even knew what flavor was, and his date's parents exchanged concerned looks while she giggled about how competitive divorced couples were so entertaining. The entire restaurant stopped eating when the cook came out personally to verify. We understood that the last person who attempted this challenge had to be carried out on a stretcher, and Robbie signed his waiver with a flourish while telling the cook to make sure he got that extra sauce because he didn't want anyone thinking we were equally capable. The wings arrived looking like they'd been dipped in radioactive lava, and the smell alone made 3 nearby tables ask to be moved immediately. I picked up my first wing and took a measured bite while controlling my breathing exactly like I'd practiced for months, feeling the burn but managing it with a technique I'd perfected. Robbie grabbed his wing and poured the extra sauce directly onto it before taking an enormous bite while maintaining eye contact with me, and within 4 seconds his entire face turned purple and tears started streaming down his cheeks like someone had turned on a faucet. He tried to speak but only managed a choking sound before he projectile vomited directly onto his date's mother's silk blouse, causing her to scream and run toward the bathroom while her husband jumped up and knocked the entire table over, sending wings flying onto Robbie's date, who started shrieking about her hair being on fire from the sauce. Robbie collapsed onto the floor gasping and clutching his throat while his eyes rolled back in his head, and the server had to call 911 while I calmly continued eating my third wing, and the cook kept repeating that he'd never seen someone react that badly, that quickly in 20 years of running this challenge. The paramedics arrived and had to give Robbie 3 different medications just to get him stable enough to transport, and his date's father was shouting about lawsuits while his mother stood there covered in vomit stains trying to comfort their crying daughter whose dress was ruined with sauce. 6 months later, Robbie still can't eat anything spicier than vanilla yogurt without his stomach cramping, and he carries prescription antacids everywhere like they're an EpiPen for his permanently damaged digestive system. He tried to order my exact meal at a cafe last week, but when I casually mentioned adding hot sauce to my soup, he got up and left before the food arrived.